Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another segment of the Pivoted Success podcast, hosted by our friend Sean Cochran from TCC Canada and myself, Jared Goldsmith from eSAX Virtual Events. Today, we're pleased to be joined by Tarek Belghith from RZ Network. Tarek, thank you so much for joining us today. So, Tarek, I've known you on and off
Thank you, Jared, and thank you, Sean, for having me.
Thank you, Tarek. I've known you on and off for several years now, actually about 10 years. Let's talk a little bit about your background. Who are you and what is RZ Network all about, please?
Well, thank you, Jared. I'd like to present myself. My name is Tarek Belghith. I'm a technology and academically a computer networks and information systems engineer. I have a master's degree from the Sant'Anna School of Pisa in Italy, and I've spent over a decade and a half in the international telecommunication and IT market. So in summary, I lived in 6 countries, 4 continents, and I traveled over 30 countries to work on IT and telecom projects. So I founded RZ over a decade ago with the promise of contributing to the global smart change of human lives globally, and we're literally witnessing this, especially after the 2020 pandemic crisis.
Yeah. What brought you to Ottawa, Tarek?
Well, Ottawa was our the next step to establish RZ, the American subsidiary of RZ Network, because RZ is all about digital business and innovative initiatives. So we came to be based in Ottawa, in Canada, the Canada North business area or research area, and we are very happy to be next to the big names of the technology, to the Ericssons, to the Nokias, Huawei's, and all these big names are based here. And literally, recently, a couple of days ago, we even had a visit of Premier Doug Ford, who is even confirming that Ontario is encouraging the investment and the support of innovative startups and companies like RZ, and we're happy about it.
Yeah, when you want to play with the big players, you have to be in the same neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Sean, over to you.
Yeah, Tarek. So I find that very interesting. So for you, you're focused in the IT telecommunications world. Were you doing a lot of traveling before the pandemic for work, or had you sort of settled in Ottawa?
Yes, actually, before selling in Canada in general and in Ottawa in particular, I've been traveling a lot, especially that I was involved with large-scale telecommunication projects. We're more focused on telecommunications, and you know that when we are dealing with telecoms, we are dealing with telecom operators, and in every country there is a couple of them. So I had to travel across Africa, Middle East, Asia. I went even all the way to China, Europe. I worked also a couple of years on European market, and now this is my 4th continent, the Americas, which is a continent full of opportunities, especially for digital and information and communication technologies.
It's such a pleasure to talk to people like entrepreneurs like yourself who are so multinational, working all over the world, and you can appreciate the wide range of experience that people have. So this is fantastic, Tarek. Let's talk about a little bit about how RZ Network was affected during COVID, and also how you personally were affected.
Well, yes, this crisis, this health crisis or COVID pandemic hit literally all the industries. But from our side, which is RZ, a digital and online operating company or business, let's say it's negative. It's more it's not an impact, a direct impact. Our organization and globally using social media, and I just want to mention that we increased our focus on business activity online, especially after the COVID and after the crisis, through social media, thanks to the implications of restrictions that are imposed after COVID. So I'm saying thanks. So the crisis, the COVID, didn't do something bad for our business. It's in the contrary, it accelerated the adoption, because before COVID, people were somehow resisting to the adoption of digital, and they were more into their in their comfort zone because they were conducting traditional and presential business, but they didn't know the potential of digital. But after the pandemic, they discovered the wealth of potential that they were ignoring, and now everybody's working from home. The business model changed, and people are working online, and millionaires are literally being created every day online.
Yeah, I mean, you were already in digital way before COVID started. And how has RZ
Yes.
Network expanded because of COVID? Have you been hiring more staff around the world? Do you have a physical location? Like, tell us about what some of the benefits of COVID have been for RZ Network.
Well, before COVID, RZ started mainly in the consulting. So we were helping other industries, and mainly the less digitally mature, to adopt the technologies. Like universities, we worked with universities, with utility companies. We worked with the manufacturing companies, with real estate agents, etc. And these small businesses learned gradually, because we were providing solution or a platform to like digital framework or database platforms, etc. And we were supplying this with a training program to help the business users of this platform to adopt and to shift their operating model. But after COVID, it's, I don't know how to say it. It was accelerated because some organizations didn't accept what was digital. So they didn't accept. They were not ready to recognize PDF files as official documents. They didn't. They were not ready, or maybe the regulatory organization was not accepting such electronic files to be recognized as electronic official documents, like electronic signature, etc., etc. But now, after the COVID, all these barriers have been deleted or vanished, and the acceptance of these data, or of these electronic things, thanks, of course, to the hashing and cyber security methods that were embedded in the digital tools as well. So things are very hard to forge, and very hard to for the falsification or something. So people are more confident with data, and we can say that after COVID, we continued doing business with our previous clients, and we acquired new clients as well. Not all of them in Canada, of course, because we've been operating outside Canada, in Africa, with banks, in Middle East, with other companies. And we continued supplying them with consulting services and integration remotely. And here in Canada, I'm doing some coaching for small businesses and entrepreneurs that find it hard to pivot or to adopt the new model. So I'm doing some coaching together with my amazing team to help these entrepreneurs and small businesses to adopt and to continue doing their business the way, or even better than the way they used to do before.
That's a key
That's great,
point.
Tarek. Yeah, it's really interesting. And you mentioned earlier that you guys had space in the Canada Technology Park. So in March, how many staff did you roughly have in the office, and how has that changed as everybody sort of evolved even more than they already had to the sort of remote work?
Well, actually, we were living in the park, but we are a home-based office. Especially, we started to look into having an office for the company in the Leggett Drive in the Canada North Tech Park. But we quickly moved back to the home-based because of COVID. But we work with teams that are located in different countries, like development and software development teams, database architects and solution architects. They are based in Italy, Tunisia. We have in Bahrain, in Dubai. So we literally work with remote teams that are not even physically present here in Canada. So here in Canada, we're maybe 4 or 5, and I mean, for example, there is 2 of us there that are permanent, and 3 they are not even full-time employees. They are just consultants like us, but they conduct projects for clients in located outside Canada.
Yeah, it's great. So you were set up for the digital workforce, whether this had happened or not. So you were already living what we all sort of came to learn to be the new normal, right?
Yeah, I was living that since the year 2013, 2014. I was not in Canada at that time. I was in more into Asia and Africa. We had teams working with us, but gradually we moved into the entrepreneur and self-employed mode. But there was a lot of projects, so making them having revenues as if they were full-time employees, because the projects are there, but in the in-person mode. But now after we moved here and we have partners in these countries that are having RZ presence. We continued working like business as usual.
Tarek,
Even better than usual.
How many languages do you
Tell
speak?
me.
7. Wow. Fantastic.
Well, yeah, let's say if you consider the beginner level as a language, it will be more than that. The fluent, I'm like fluent in 4 now. I have a French, Arabic, English, and Italian. And I'm a beginner in Chinese, in Maltese, and I have some notions in German and Spanish.
Wow.
So these are the notions and the beginner, but I don't count them. So for the fluent, the business languages, they are 4.
And how have you helped others to adapt to COVID? We talked a bit about having some of your clients realize the value of, let's say, a PDF as an accepted document. But for those who are on the fence, would you say it's fair that COVID forced people to adapt to this virtual technology?
Affirmative. COVID was, for me, I mean, as a digital and technology professional, was a blessing for the whole world, especially for the technology to be used on applications that require people to see the result. Because all what we knew in the past decade are experimentations, and we were experimenting technology and on things that were okay, it works, so we can continue with that. But for some critical things, which are the confidential data, the e-signature, the official transactions, millions today are transferred electronically. While before, people were not were not very comfortable in transferring or making wire transfers not in cash, because they did not trust technology. But now technology is the only way, so they had to cope with that, and they did well with that, and they're happy with it. And I tell you what, there's no turning back, by the way, because now people are talking about lifting the restrictions, going back to work in person, etc. But what we learned during this pandemic will stay there, and a lot of things will not go back to the initial status before COVID. And you can take my word for that.
Yeah, well, it's funny to think. I mean, obviously, there's a drive to get back to normal, whatever that would be. But like you said, there's a lot of things that we've improved upon and learned over these last 2 years that we don't need to go back to. So there's no reason to go back to ways that don't make sense anymore. So it'll be interesting to see how that all sort of unfolds as we create these truly hybrid sort of teams. And I mean, you definitely have been doing that for quite some time. So, I mean, that's really exciting.
Tarek,
definitely. We learn new stuff. I mean, imagine life without hours lost in commute, in traffic, and you're just working and enjoying life from the comfort of your living room or your home office.
Well, I think there's no doubt that most of us are finding the quality of life can be much higher if, and it's a big if, people can disconnect from work and spend time doing other things, maybe more family time or, around the house kind of thing?
It's a hard one, but people will adapt and people will get used to it.
Yeah. And I think for a lot
It's
of us,
like having a computer for work and there are like games installed in the computer, but you need to click on the icon to open your Outlook and you do your work. And when the work task is finished, you can go and go on social media or enjoy or play games and stuff.
or check the stock market throughout
Right.
the day or whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
How let's put a bigger hat over this, Tarek. How have you observed that entrepreneurship has changed because of COVID? And keeping in mind, not everybody is in the high-tech digital world like you.
So actually, with this COVID crisis, we've witnessed major wave of job losses, especially in the early 2020 when we were talking and announcing this pandemic, when the businesses were disrupted by this unknown virus and they were afraid for their future. People lost jobs, and most companies and organizations found it hard to switch to the work from home. So entrepreneurship was the only solution, and frugality was a must-have skill to generate revenue during tough times. Families and kids, and yeah, people became very good entrepreneurs, and we've coached groups of them. Even myself, I mean, I'm also a coach, and I'm coaching people on how to accelerate their business and generate clients and leads through social media. And there's a lot of tactics and techniques on how to use LinkedIn to be your best ally to help you generate clients without even meeting them in person, without even having to be living in the same neighborhood. I mean, today I have clients in Chicoutimi. You know where Chicoutimi is? Like more than 600 kilometers north of Quebec, right? And
Tarek,
we've
you
been
mentioned
coaching
about
people in Toronto and in Sudbury.
There's no doubt that people have been targeting people outside their local demographic region. But you mentioned the word frugal. I think that's a very important aspect because when COVID hit, money dried up. People kept money to themselves. They were not spending for obvious reasons. You had to lay off staff and rent, overhead, etc. But in your case, if I understand correctly, you put more resources into expanding RZ Network online. And has that paid off?
Yes. Yes, definitely, because RZ started first as in a consulting, and we were only doing consulting services. Then we quickly expanded. We had now branches. One is creating graphics, graphic design, videos, and posters and graphics for businesses that want to promote their businesses online. So we have this unit as well. We have a team of designers, the graphic designers, and the expert. We have also an alliance with a financial institution where we are selling services and services like accounting, tax, insurance, life insurance, auto and home insurance. So this will be this is actually operating RZ Financial, and we launched also a online store, but we shut it down after. We can't compete with the Amazons, right? So we launched it for a year, then this was shut down quickly. And we have also, what else? We have the RZ Academy, which is a platform that helps small businesses that have, the music schools or language schools, etc. They can make online or e-learning platforms. So we had a partnership with a Mexican innovation startup company named Gera, and we also have this partnership for North America, and this became also RZ Academy. What else we had? Yeah, we continued expanding. Anything that can be done online, we are doing it. And of course, the coaching is always there, and we are doing a lot of things for the community. We are doing webinars. These are the online seminars. We are doing coaching sessions. Where we are having a program with an organization in Alberta, and this is in French, where we teach. We have a course for French-speaking kids in elementary between 8 and we help them to acquire basic digital skills like how to use internet, how to create a password, how to detect a fraud, what is the history of internet, the history of video games, and things like that. So just
it's such a
to give them
pleasure to
some
talk to
culture
you,
about the
Tarek,
technology.
because I could see that
Yeah.
you have such a passion for helping others, and you're really the spirit of entrepreneurship. You saw what the world is dealing with. You
Thank
said,
you.
okay, how can we enlarge and expand? And you've done so more quickly. Sean, do you have something you'd like to ask Tarek?
Well, yeah, I was just going to jump into the next sort of area. So for you, you'd mentioned obviously you guys were working remote already. So the transition back to this remote work was pretty easy and seamless for you guys. But personally, and even for you as an entrepreneur, how did that affect you from being able to travel and do some of the things that you would normally have been sort of used to doing?
We just stopped traveling because we don't need to. So I'm tired from traveling, by the way, Sean, because I traveled, thousands of miles, and I accumulated thousands of air miles. Now I'm done with traveling. We do everything, delivery and meetings online. I mean, I will tell you, we need more hours or more interview time to tell you about the anecdotes of what happened due to the time zone difference, because we are working with Europe, Middle East. Sometimes they are in the 8 in the morning. We are in the midnight the day before, so we are calling from the past. Things like that. But now we're fully adapted, and thanks to technology, we're happy with it.
Yeah, no, that's great. So looking sort of ahead, what are you most excited for in the next sort of 6 months to a year as we pull ourselves out of hopefully the end of this pandemic?
Well, RZ is continuously working on innovative projects, and we are now waiting for the release of an online platform that will change the way people will express their opinion about products and services. You know that we are now living in a market that is driven by customer experience, and this is our main and key purpose for this project. I won't talk more about it because I'll spoil the surprise. A beta version is to be released very soon, and we are looking after some sponsors to accelerate this market-changing platform. That will be another Canadian pride and RZ pride, hopefully. So we're literally working on the development of the first beta, and I'm expecting the launch of the beta maybe by Jan the latest on Jan 2022.
Tarek, what do you envision that the community, the public, can do to help entrepreneurship?
Well, as you know, the network, the social network is our number one growth dimension. And second, we would like to access to some more private or non-governmental fund to bring to life this innovative project I just told you about. So especially that RZ is based in the largest tech park, which is Canada North Technology Park. We recently received, as I told you, the visit of Premier Ford, and he's even expressing that they are supporting innovations and the startups. So we are really relying on the help of community, the encouragement of either businessmen or organizations to support these small and innovative projects. Maybe if I can open, I know that where the time is over, but I will tell you about Google. When Google was launched in 1998 and they were seeking some sponsorship from companies, they refused them. And look now, Google is governing the world, literally, together with the Facebooks and the Twitters of the world, because people were relying more on the experience. What did you do in this domain? This is innovation. Innovation shouldn't have any experience. Innovation is about the future, not about the past. So this is what we are on what we are relying, and we rely on the community, on sponsors to look at us and to support us with some maybe sponsoring or encouragement.
But that's a great feature of an entrepreneur. It is, like you say, the forward thinking. Because if you only adapt now, everyone else who's in the same playground as you, the competition, if you will, is thinking 6 months or 3 or 5 years from now.
Definitely.
Very wise. What about words of wisdom, Tarek? Because the podcast is offering information for how people can successfully adapt to COVID.
Yeah.
What would you suggest for the entrepreneur who has been struggling, who may not have already been active on social media or a digital presence before COVID? What would you offer some suggestion, words of wisdom for them?
Wisdom is, thank you. This is very, very good question, Jared. And wisdom, I'd like to give them, all the entrepreneurs and small business owners, and even students that are about to graduate very soon. I want to tell them that everything happens at the right time. You don't even try to make it happen before. Just work. Focus on your work and on your task, and it won't happen later. It will happen at the right time. And second, what's coming is always better than what's happening right now. So enjoy your present moment and make the most of it, because every single second is, it's a big value that people say time is money, but even money is not the thing. That it's all about the now, the feeling, how you feel. And so enjoy your present moment, work towards your target and your objective, and everything will happen at the right time, according to the destiny. And the last but not least, I'd like to wish happy Halloween. If we are living in the days of festivities now, so happy Halloween, and feel free to follow RZ. We are on social media. Even myself, you can access me on Twitter, on Facebook, and across LinkedIn and all social media.
Sean, would you like to say a few closing remarks?
No, it's great, Tarek. Thanks so much for joining us today. It's really nice to hear from entrepreneurs who didn't get beaten down so badly by the pandemic, but B, that have really taken the opportunity and run with it. Because again, it's been a weird time. So I mean, it's been easy enough to just sort of sit static and not do anything different. But it sounds like you're really pushing towards the future. And I think oftentimes people try to create a product around something they think is a good idea instead of solving a solution or solving a problem. And I think what you're doing is looking towards these big problems people are being faced with. And I think your new project sounds very interesting, because I think that is a huge area that every business struggles with. So.
Well, thank you, Tarek.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you so much for having me.
You mentioned social media, but what is your website that people could reach you at, please?
Well, actually, the website, I can tell you the websites now are dead. Even our website will be changed soon, but it's www.rzco.net. It's very basic, because all the communications and all the posting and content is being posted on our LinkedIn and Facebook pages. So the LinkedIn is linkedin.com/company/RZ network and RZ consulting. We have both of them. And for Facebook, it's facebook.com/rzco.net. So you can just search for RZ, you will see the logo. And yeah, I mean, you're most welcome. You can follow, you can enjoy the content. We are sharing daily content, messages for job seekers, for entrepreneurs, some hints and tips on how to grow on social media. We're sharing this coaching content every day.
Well, thank you, Tarek. I mean, there's no doubt that those are skills that every entrepreneur, every business owner or staff needs to know in order to stay relevant in the digital world. So thank you so much for joining us today, Tarek.
Okay.
And today, folks,
Thank
we were
you for having me.
Thank you. By Tarek Belghith from RZ Network, on behalf of Sean Cochran from TCC Canada and myself, Jared Goldsmith from eSAX Virtual Events. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we wish you all the best. Thank you, Tarek.